Hello, and welcome to this episode of Unrequested Information that no one asked for. Ian and I were upstairs here in my lab doing a bit of cleaning. I know, I was as surprised as you are. And we ran across a crate that had been sitting up here for quite some time that I needed to go through and clean out. And it contained a bunch of old bottles from my bottle collection that had sat in another house and gotten dusty after years of sitting on top of a shelf, been brought to this house and left to sit. That was probably only 10 years ago. So Ian and I cleaned them up, and as we were going through them, he looked up some information about a few of them here that were kind of interesting. These are just the kind of fun ones. And so I thought I'd share with you, given all the fun everyone's having right now, sitting around looking for things to do, of what a few of these are, because they're kind of pertinent. Now, I don't know why I started collecting old bottles. Probably because I used to go to antique stores with my mom all the time, and they were just something you could pick up cheap for a couple dollars each. It didn't take a huge investment. And so I ended up getting stuff kind of based on where they were from, just because I thought they were fun. So for example, like this Murray's stainless sewing machine oil bottle, right? It's kind of cool. Most of the time you don't see them with labels, so it's actually got a label. And probably the reason I bought it, not that I'm a big sewing machine fan, is simply because it's from St. Paul, Minnesota. And I used to live outside St. Paul, Minnesota. So there was something interesting about it. Then there was one we ran across that was neat's foot oil. Now I know you all have lots of neat's foot oil you keep around. And this one, I don't know, other than the fact that it had a label, which again is kind of rare for old stopper top bottles these days. But this one, the label's missing, but you can tell that it was clearly from a company in Birmingham, Alabama. So there again, being from Alabama, that was kind of interesting. So I've got a bunch of these, and you see the usual ones, an old ink bottle. This one's actually from the Higgins American Drawing Ink Company. So this was an old ink reservoir you dispense out into your smaller little bottles. But a bunch of these are actually kind of interesting with all the fun people are having right now, and I thought they might be pertinent should you be looking for any medications. So I don't really collect alcohol bottles because what's the point? But old medicine bottles are, well, largely were alcohol bottles. So like this one, if you look on the back, it's just called Cremulsion. It's actually embossed, for coughs due to colds. But if you look on the front, that's where you find the really interesting information. You get great stuff like this Cremulsion is an emulsion with, and I'm not making this up, creosote, syrup white pine with tar, something I can't pronounce, ipecac, wild cherry bark, menthol, and other ingredients. And for your protection, because they're worried about you, it contains no narcotics. And shockingly, this one's not over 4% alcohol by volume, so that's about like 8 proof. So that one was kind of fun. A bunch of these Ian had to look up because we didn't really know a whole lot about them. Like the neat's foot oil. You can actually still buy neat's foot oil. It's made from cow legs, the shin bones, and the feet, and people use it for treating leather. It's used to help preserve leather. Some of these other ones are a little more interesting, like this one. It doesn't have a label on it anymore, but on the side it's embossed and it just says Modoc Indian Oil, and it's some patent medicine. I don't know where it came from, but I ran across this bottle somewhere. I thought, hey, that's kind of cool, Modoc Indian Oil. So Ian actually looked up Modoc Indian Oil, and you're gonna wish you had some now, because he actually found a copy on the internet of an old flyer selling it, and apparently Modoc Indian Oil is the greatest pain medicine on earth. I'm not lying, it's in the ad, so it has to be true. It cures deafness, rheumatic pains, stiff joints, sore throat, contracted cords and muscles, colic, and all pains external or internal. There is no pain it will not control. There is no misery it will not alleviate. The Indians believed it to be the great spirits medicine. It cures in public, it cures in private, it cures when all others fail. It is a doctor in the house. Ask for it and see that you get it. For sale by all druggists. And here's the best part. It's 25 cents a bottle. So unfortunately mine's empty, so I don't have any magic cure-all. I guess I'm stuck. But I can think of a time when you could get magic cure-all. See what the FDA has done for us? Now you can't get medicines that cure everything. There's a bunch of these that are kind of interesting. Here we go. This one's actually embossed on the front. It's the great Dr. Kilmer's Swamp Root Kidney, Liver, and Bladder Remedy. I'm betting this is mostly alcohol. But the good news is if you had any issues with your kidney, liver, or bladder, is going to take care of you. These are actually pretty common. You can find these around these days. And then some of these, not that you asked, but some of these are here just because, one, they look kind of cool. Everybody's seen these, right? The old Phillips Milk and Magnesia bottles. People like them just because they're bright blue and they stand out. This one's kind of cool because it's the same thing, but it's a slightly older version. Before they went to the paper label, it's actually embossed with all the company information on the front in the glass. It's still a fully machined molded bottle. There's nothing fancy. It's not like a hand-blown, completely handmade. This was still made in a mold. You can see the mold lines on each side, but it was clearly blown into a mold and then finished off by hand around the top. And then a couple of these are really only here. They're not worth anything. Most of these aren't worth anything, but a couple of these are kind of cool just because I found them on my grandparents' farm south of Tuscaloosa. I was down there fishing one day and I just went for a walk down some of the old logging roads that would go to where there used to be houses and a bunch of the open fields. Almost every open field used to have a house in the corner where there were sharecroppers who would live there. And so if you could find those house sites, specifically where the outhouse was, a lot of times you can find the trash they would throw in those outhouses. And these were actually in the middle of a road. I was walking along and I saw some glass and I started kicking around and I dug both of these out of the dirt. This is it is a stopper top, but it's a very common, probably had a pop top actually. Old medicine bottle probably had pills or aspirin or something in it. This one is actually an old, I think it's Purex. It's kind of hard to read on the bottom, but it's actually a cosmetic bottle of some sort. So anyway, since you're all sitting at home bored out of your mind, you can join me here bored out of my mind with this edition of Random Stuff Nobody Asked About.